to make bold moves. Now is
the Black Panther Party. Actually, the Black Panther.
We worked with many to your work.
And back into the hearts and the minds of our community. I got into this thing.
All right, that's what we're doing today. All right. So all my little intro videos and everything that want to spaz out on me today. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Miguel, Lloyd. I'm your host of Chamber Live, Vice President of Marketing and Communication for the Atlanta Black Chambers and owner of Lloyd Media Group, which is my company. And so, well, we've been doing this thing, hanging out with the Chamber for a while now. I think we're working on probably about 8 years, and we've seen the amazing growth of this organization. And so one of those people who's helped with that growth over the last few years is my sister, Kela Taylor. How you doing? Fly as ever. I'm not matching your energy. I'm heading to my barbershop after this show. I'm gonna get cleaned up because coming around the corner on this coming Monday, because we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and LL is gonna be in town on Monday. The Roots, DJ Jazzy Jeff, De La Soul. It's gonna be dope. So. But we're talking entrepreneurship, and on this show today, we're going to be talking about the future of DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Will be our subject matter. We have two amazing guests, Bridgett Robinson and Delmar Johnson, that will be talking to us about this particular subject matter. But what's going on with you? You look your fly background, because you hanging out with all the Black entrepreneur superstars in this day and age. You hanging out at the Russell Center. What's been going on with you, sis?
Listen, first and foremost, I feel like it's been forever since I have seen you. I miss you. I miss Chamber Live.
Oh,
So happy National Black Business Month to you, bro. And I am in such a vibe.
Yeah, if people are not familiar with the Russell, so the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship, it is right down the street from the Mercedes Stadium, which it was all blinged out for 3 or 4 days with Beyonce here a couple days ago. But it's right across the street from the AU Center. Morris Brown is back in effect. It's the whole vibe around the AU Center in that part of town is amazing. But the Russell Center, it was wild for a while. Every time I came over there, it was something new. Yeah. Y'all are in full effect now. Kind of give us a lowdown of some of the updates of what's going on with the Russell Center before we get into the show.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the Russell Innovation Center, we're standing on the shoulders of the historic Herman J. Russell here, right? Mm-hmm. And for those who are here, stakeholders, employees, the community, we're here to bring our innovative thinking, but it's a 56,000 square foot facility. Mm-hmm. And they have a 2025 plan to do an additional 17,000 square feet to include some outdoor terrace space, some rooftop vibes. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be great, y'all.
It's great now, and it is great now. Right now, we have, in addition to showing the relationship between the ABC and the Russell Center, there are 20 entrepreneurs that are in Columbia, not Columbia, Maryland, not Columbia, Georgia. They are in the country of South America, in Colombia right now, on an event. Talk to us a little bit about that partnership and ABC and what's going on down there in Colombia.
So I'm so sad that I could not go. I was actually invited to go, but I'm here in Atlanta, bringing the greatness here, Mm-hmm. So yeah, Russell Center, they partnered with the Atlanta Black Chambers, the city of Atlanta, and the ambassador of Cali, Colombia. They're right now, they're doing some missionary work in Cali, Colombia, geared around supply chain and, just procurement, just international opportunities.
Yeah, so, absolutely. We got as Black folks, we got to expand. We know that the opportunities have been limited, and they're even changing, as we'll talk today about DE&I and how there was this push to make sure that African Americans and minorities had opportunities with these corporations, with the state, with all. But they're trying to cut those opportunities down. So what do we need to do? We need to expand in that diaspora and go all over the world. And so kudos to our brothers Ricardo Barris and his committee, the Global Opportunities Committee. Melvin Coleman is down there as well, our president, executive director.
Yeah.
They're down there. Lauren Levins, who was down there, that girl, she's going from she works with RPS and she's down with the global, and she's also working with me with the projects I got in the South Metro. So shout out to her. She's sending over emails from Colombia, South America, to keep us tight because we got some stuff coming up in September. But let's
Love
talk a little bit about before we bring in our guests. Let's talk a little bit, of course, about what is going on here in the ABC. As we always like to go back to our trusted source, which is Instagram, because that's where y'all love to catch up to us and what is
That's
going
right.
on for sure. As we mentioned, this week we have the Power Hour, which will be coming up with our ladies of the Women's League. But talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the ABC as you see it.
Oh my God. First of all, the ABC don't stop. Again, they're in Colombia right now, bridging that international gap. We got the fabulous Michelle Glover. She don't stop. Oh, big shout out to Keisha Cranen.
Keisha
She
has been added to our leadership team and recently, and so I believe she's over the membership committee. So we've got one thing about there's so many opportunities to serve within this organization. A lot of people serve, and they also find ways to grow their businesses tremendously. But this organization is led by servant leaders, and so if you are a servant leader, this is the organization that you want to come be a part of. We have coming up the Women's League every third Friday at 8:30 a.m. You have we have Anita Davis, who is the founder of Praxis Strategic Solutions, will be a special guest. And I believe they're coming to the Russell Center. They're going to do a think tank coming up pretty soon. I think that's coming up as well. There's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with it.
so much going on. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I got this saying, like, we're all just interconnected when it comes to this business, these strategy think tank sessions. Like, we're all just interconnected. So if you're not part of the ABC, if you're not part of the Russell Center, at least get part of one so that you can get interconnected with both.
And the good thing about it, as you mentioned, both of those organizations, it shows this is a perfect example of showing you do what you do well. What the chamber does very well is networking events, things of this nature, as you can see. You know, this is our bulletin board basically of everything that we've got going on. The Russell Center being a family that is based in the fabric of this city. If you don't know much about the Russell family and what they've done in this city, do your research. But they are very, very connected, and with that relationship, they've done an amazing job of building out an organization that is doing some amazing work very quickly. I've watched this organization over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, and Jay Bailey and his leadership do some amazing stuff. So let's get into, as I mentioned today, diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to be our conversation that we're going to talk about today. And so if we're all paying attention to what is going on, they're unapologetic, as in our adversaries, and you can call them what you want, about saying, okay, y'all done had your run. And so now it's time for us to sit up here, and we're gonna try to snatch up some of this opportunity which has been out there for many, many years, and now those opportunities are going to be snatched from you guys. And so now we got to figure out a way to say we're going to keep this thing moving. And so I wanted to have a conversation. What you know about me is that I know what I know, and then I know who I know. And so I start digging into my Rolodex and saying, let's get some of these folks who may know this stuff a little bit better than me. And one of the first people I thought about was Miss Bridgett Robinson, who she's.
Uh-oh, did we lose Miguel?
I think we did.
Well, hello, beautiful.
Well,
There we go. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, all right. Doing too much. Bridgett Robinson, hey sister, how you doing?
I am doing phenomenal. How are you guys?
We are wonderful. We are wonderful. Yeah, we're gonna get it straight. As I said, this was quite a day here today. So we're gonna make all this stuff happen. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So Bridgett, let's talk about what we just were discussing in diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're an expert in that space. And we're kind of, I won't say we're spectators, but in some ways we are. We see the effects. I've got children that going to college, and they got a while, but hopefully we change by then. But educationally wise, job wise, my oldest daughter just out of college. But tell us about some of the challenges that are going on in DE&I right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I have been an HR professional a little over 16 years now in corporate America, done consulting and worked exclusively in consulting with the Black in HR, which is a group that is providing a lot of assistance to other Black HR professionals and also providing services for companies as well. So
Amazing. But y'all are up over 10,000 people following you on Facebook. You're
it's a
doing
lot.
all type of networking events all over the country. But go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. It is a lot of us, and it is beautiful to see so many diverse people in the field of HR, which that's the people industry. We're all about, especially in our corporations and our businesses, we're all about bringing those people together, helping companies meet those initiatives and things like that to help, with their human capital. So I've seen it. I've seen the initiatives that get put out and they flourish, and the companies that are doing a phenomenal job with their DE&I initiatives. And then I've seen what I call performative DE&I.
Performative. Please explain that, what that means.
So the best way to explain it, we all know around, the George Floyd incident and the rise of Black Lives Matter, had companies coming out of the woodworks releasing all their statements of what D&I means to them, all of the initiatives that they were putting in place and their commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion. We even saw added letters. Now we have belonging and, all this other stuff that people are inventing or adding to D&I. And then, like you just said, we've seen people dwindle. Things have been pulled back. Companies now, they can't even give you stats on their DE&I initiatives. Or we have seen a rise of DE&I professionals being laid off because those segments have been, those companies have been demolished. They've been taken away.
Yeah.
And if that happens, you are just showing, you are performing, you were jumping on the bandwagon as a company, you were jumping on a trend as a company. And the bottom line, honestly, you guys, was all about money. It was to get the consumer to say, oh, that company is for us. I'm going to spend money with them. I'm going to, work with them. I'm going to do all of these things, only for them to pull the wool over our eyes and say, nope, that's not really who we are.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that so much in the world today. And I mean, it's very unfortunate.
It's like an imperfect storm, right? We had the George Floyd situation, and obviously that wasn't the first or the last. It was a culmination of years, Trayvon Martin and a lot of stuff that happened leading up to it. And then you had COVID, right? And so with COVID, there was a lot of, we all kind of got stuck in the house for a while, and then once we came by, and then we had Donald Trump lose the election. And so it's that imperfect storm has really stirred up a lot of animosity and a lot of vitriol, and this energy which is out in the public space seems to be going on in the corporate space as well. You got DeSantis down there in Florida, stripping out of, it's crazy. You're pulling out of education. You're telling these colleges you can't have DE&I programs. What is from your perspective? How do we move in this space right now? Based on your experience in that world.
Well, let me tell you briefly what I am seeing and why I feel there's a lot of tension right now. With the rise of COVID, like you said, we all went home. Everything went Zoom, virtual, whatever you want to call it. Speaking from the perspective of a Black female, a lot of us Black females, we have this thing when we get bored or there's nothing to do. What do? We go and get further educated. We got the most degrees and certifications. My wall in front of me is full of certifications. I may be the queen of them. So we got highly qualified, right?
Yeah.
What I am seeing, and I coach, students, I coach, people through the Black in HR all the time. And this is across the board. What I'm seeing is we've gotten so educated. We've gotten so to the point where we can see what's going on and what's not going on it's stopping us from becoming active because we're just like, it doesn't matter. Right. And so when you have a group of people that they know what's going on and they're like, I don't even want the hassle. I don't want to join this type of organization because I see what they're about. Then that's allowing these companies to run rampant and do what they want to do. Because guess what? There's nobody there to stop them. So the other side of that is we have got to start getting involved. Even though you may see a toxic workplace, and I was talking to an individual just yesterday, I said, I could tell you that this particular environment may be toxic, but that is because there is nobody there to help bring that toxicity out and make change because everybody's taking their hands off. So we think about the civil rights movement. If none of us Black people had jumped up and gotten with allies and did all the things that needed to happen, us three, we wouldn't be on this panel right now. We wouldn't be where we were. If we didn't jump to the toxic situations or situations that were dire and just really paved the way for others, then we wouldn't be here. And so a lot of us in our professional world, we're burnt out. And we're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, I want my
And we're too
paycheck.
young
I
for
want to
that.
go home.
We're too young for that. We got a long way to go. Kela, I'm coming
Got
to
a
you.
lot of
We got a lot of runway to leave this thing. We got to find a way to make this thing work. Kela, you got something?
You know, I just want to just add to what you both are saying. We got a long way to go, but we are always a resilient people. And you are
Absolutely.
so right, beautiful. Like, I'm sorted up. But even with that, it's like the doors, I just feel like the floodgates do not open.
Yeah.
So how do, and I'm sure like we're speaking for the consensus of the Black woman, what should we be doing? What should we, how should we be applying those certifications?
So, for one, let's speak on the perspective of you're not in the door yet. Okay. So, if
Uh-huh.
you're not in the door yet, then we really have got to make sure that our resumes show the value that we bring and not just the task that we do. That is very different, right? So, we make sure that we're working with groups like the Black in HR who can help you revamp your resume. You want to be able to show the numbers, the changes, the impact you've had, and not just I do this day and that day. That is not what's going to get it. The next thing, once you get your foot in the door, you've got to find a sponsor. And I know people are like, oh, I shouldn't have to. There's a lot we shouldn't have to do, but we're going to have to. We have to find a sponsor because ultimately everybody's goal has always been, I want to get a seat at the table. I'm guilty of that. I used to say that all the time. I want a seat at the table. I have sat at several tables, not and not gotten a lot done because we can't stop at just being able to sit there.
Yeah.
Right? We got to be able to have action behind our voice. We have to be able to be heard at the table. So we've got to be in these groups to where we're promoting, diversity, equity, inclusion holistically as a company. We're looking at everything that the company is doing. We're looking at everything that the school is doing. We're holding them accountable. We're asking them to show, their numbers for these initiatives that they've put out there. If they can't do that, why do we even have this listed on the website?
Yeah.
Tell me how this initiative has helped. Tell me what the results are. It's so much stuff that they're not being held accountable to. And that's the reason why nothing gets done.
Yep.
And again, it's because we're kind of going about how we get in these spaces the wrong way. We don't want to network. How many of you heard that employee that say, I want my check and I want to go home. I'm not going to happy hour.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of that.
Right.
Promotions are made at happy hour. Connections and jobs are given at happy hour.
Yeah.
We've got to get out of our comfort zone and really put ourselves out there. And again, know what we're talking about when we are in those spaces.
We as Black people, as you mentioned, we are some of the most degreed people in the world, definitely in America. There's no question, and there's a reason for that. We don't get those opportunities without being able to say we get all these letters behind our names, right? But when I also look at that, I say part of the solution has got to be what our organization primarily focus on is Black entrepreneurship, because we have to start building more enterprises so that when it gets to the point that it's time for Bridgett Robinson with all this amazing credentials to make that next move, she don't have to go do that dance in corporate America, because it's like, okay, let's come on over here and help build this enterprise that's over here. Which, when it's all said and done, you're just trying to go from that 6 figures to this 6 figures and then go to ownership. It doesn't have to be in a big corporation. It could be in an enterprise. And that's something that we'll definitely talk about that with Delmar on the other side, because I know she's kind of working in that space as well. But when you look at it, I sent you a post yesterday, a friend of mine, Deidre Grayson, and kind of she talked about what you kind of touched on already. Which is this, and I'll try to see if I can pull that back up so I can read it a little bit. But the synopsis of her post, because I've known her for years. She worked for a big marketing firm. I knew her when we were in Arkansas with Walmart, and then she's moved a couple times to some C&G companies. But it's got to be frustrating after a while to sit up here and watch how much work you do as because we know we're the worker bees, and I think that's part of the thing that frustrates people who are non-allies, because I always try to be careful not to say white folks, because all white folks ain't the white folks we talking about. Let's make sure we remember that. All white folks are not the white folks we talking about. So stop just putting them all in one box.
Exactly.
The non-allies look at us and they're just like, let's get Bridgett to do it. She'll do it. But when it comes down time to get that next promotion, then you got to jump through a bunch of hoops, right?
Yep.
That's the nonsense that we just that all of us are just so tired of, and that's what Deidre was mentioning in that post. But you had a response based on what I sent you.
Yeah, so that post, honestly, for everybody, it was the gist of it was talking about the creative space and how a lot of like creatives in marketing, graphic design, and all of that are leaving the industry basically in droves. And a lot of it because of that performative diversity. We're seeing it. We drank the Kool-Aid when we first got into it and was like, oh my God, they're for us. And then again, the wool was pulled over our eyes. And so a lot of people are leaving to do their own thing. But Miguel, I promise you, like that is one article in a plethora of either articles or conversations that I have been having over the past couple of years. There's even an onslaught of HR professionals that are branching out and, doing their own thing, getting their own consultancy. Because again, we are, like you said, those worker bees.
Yeah.
And not only are we jumping through hoops for promotions, we're jumping through hoops to even get our money walking in the door. And so again, and I'm going to speak to our HR professionals because we have access to this. We've got to start looking at DE&I holistically, not just in our hiring, but looking at our review processes to see, is there some type of unconscious biases in the rating scales and the things that we're looking at across the board. Like we've got to look at everything on a deeper level within these organizations and call it out. Don't just make note of it, but you got to get in front of the leadership board. You got to keep talking until you're blue in the face. And if enough of us do that, then we're going to start seeing change. If we don't, we won't see change.
I want to add to that. I think, and I hear you loud and clear when you say enough of us, because there's power in numbers, but I think we also fear retaliation.
Yeah. You're reading my mind.
Yeah. You're spot on, but we got to face that fear. If it happens, it happens. Lawyer up and keep moving. Just like with, again, the Civil Rights Institute, if they feared being arrested, we wouldn't be here. How many had to be arrested because they stood up for what they believed in? How many of us are going to have to be retaliated against? How many of us are going to have to be wrongfully terminated because we're standing up for what we believe in? Again, in order for change to happen, there's going to be some rough patches. There's going to be some things you're going to have to face. But like Miguel said in the beginning, when he talked about servant leadership, so many of us have a boss mentality. And it's boss mentality is about me, it's about my money, and I just do whatever. But we need more servant mentality people, which means I'm going to serve, I'm going to put myself out there to better somebody else.
Yeah. We you're so spot on with this, because when it's all said and done, and I want to talk about this when we bring Delmar in the second half of the conversation. Well, we need to teach people how to respond in those situations, not just in corporate environments, but in contractual environments. Because some of us as entrepreneurs, that we're getting these contracts because they're supposed to be achieving these DE&I goals and that are required for them to get funding. Because that's the thing about it, people. A lot of these big corporations are getting so much funding from the federal government and from different entities to achieve these particular goals, and which is still part of the reason why DeSantis is doing what he's doing in Florida and others, because they're trying to say, let's just take that requirement out. Hey guys, it's no longer required that we got to hire so many people. You look at what happened with the DE&I situation in education. The Asians were used in that scenario to broker that and pull that out of the situation with the Supreme Court. And so that's a whole different conversation. But we're gonna take a slight pause to big up our sponsor. We're gonna bring in Delmar, and then we're gonna have all four of us back in here to talk about this just a little bit. So don't forget that this show is brought to you in part by Walmart Business. They're doing some amazing work in this space. They are definitely, there are some big allies that are doing their thing for us in that space. And so we want to make sure we give them their flowers, because they're doing the work. We're all doing the work. All right, cool. Kela, great conversation. We're gonna bring Bridgett back in on the back end after we get a chance to talk to Delmar. Delmar is also a longtime member of the chamber. She's been doing her thing, but we want to talk to her about kind of working a little bit more with the entrepreneurs on this side, because I know she's had her work in the corporate space, and now she's working with entrepreneurs, because we've got to work together. Even if it's a situation where we as entrepreneurs are going into joint ventures to go after government contracts, there's always a DE&I component in all of this stuff. So let us bring in our guest. And look at me. See, it's been a day. It's been a day. It's been a day, y'all. Hold on. Let me get my girl. There we go. All right, Delmar. There we go. There we go. I tell you, boy, it ain't just my beard that needs to be shaved. I got to wake up today. How you doing today?
I am doing well. Hopefully my Wi-Fi will last because it seems like I'm a little jumpy right now, but that's all
You're
right.
fine. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Welcome to Chamber Live. Welcome to Chamber Live. And so, Delmar, your owner of your company is tell us about your company.
Sure. Brand is HR Brain for Hire, and also the co-founder of the tech brand Expand HR. I have been in the HR arena for 30 years, and 12 of those years have been specifically dedicated to the small business community, to the entrepreneur community, from startups to growing small business enterprises. And it's a very interesting conversation that we're having today. I don't think of Joyce, but there's a very interesting conversation today about DEI, because yes, even in the corporate settings that I was in for years, you know, DEI was kind of in the fabric of it, even though it may not be as hot of a topic spoke of as it has been for the last few years with COVID, with the murders and all those kind of things. So I think I'm in a unique position to help small business enterprises actually be able to have those DEI initiatives in their business as they grow from small to however large they want that company to grow, to really keep that in mind about what DEI really involves. And of course, they've added the B to it for belonging. But the ultimate thing is we have to look at DEI as more than just skin color, as more than just an ethnicity of, Blacks or, other ethnicities. That DEI for me also includes, what talent are you bringing in? What skill set are you needing? What abilities and knowledge base do you need that is diverse from you? It's like, are you hiring just another you? Or are you hiring the people that's going to allow you to be able to scale and have that diversity and that equity and inclusion part of it and dynamics of it and elements of it in your small business? So I think it's a great conversation. And from corporate standpoint, the young lady that was speaking on that was, even though I have not necessarily been in the corporate walls in a while, I always keep my ears, to the door and keep my hand on the pulse of what's going on, because I'm part of other HR groups that include consultants as well as corporate HR. So I think it's a unique position to help small businesses.
Absolutely. So two-part question. One, if you're talking to someone who's let me ask this question first, and then we'll ask the second part. You're talking to a person who has a small business and their business is growing and they're seeing some growth. Who are the first two employees they need to be thinking about hiring? Two positions they should be filling.
I think, and usually the answer a lot of people think of is, I need a VA or I need an admin. But the first two people really need to be those people who are going to bring in revenue into your business, who are going to integrate the processes and systems that you need in your business.
Revenue is important. Revenue is obviously important. I think a lot of us are great at what we do, but we're not great at selling what we do.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
so
guilty of that myself. We have to be honest here. I'm guilty of that myself. But those are the two that I would suggest that you find somebody who can help you bring in revenue, and then someone who can help you integrate processes and systems to make you sustainable in the long run, in the short and the long run. Because the goal is, as you grow, the goal is to have an infrastructure in place. That's why HR is important at every phase of your business. A lot of times over the 12 years that I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of entrepreneurs, been on stages talking to them, it's like, you can be a startup and still map out what your HR and people development needs to look like. Your HR may be paper in the beginning, but you have to plan it out for when you get to phase 2 and phase 3 and beyond in your business. A lot of times people say, I'm not big enough, Delmar, or, I don't have enough money to pay you, or I don't have a lot of people on my team. It's not about that. It's about actually crafting that blueprint and that plan in the first place. So when you get to that point, you're able to pull out your plan. It's like, sometimes you may have to blow off the dust if it's been a while for you to get there and be able to put that into action. But it's definitely not necessarily a VA that you need, but someone who can help you generate the revenue, and also an integrator who can help you with the systems that you
Right.
need to actually, operate efficiently.
I want to chime in real quick, if I may,
Mhm.
Miguel, and ask you
Absolutely.
a question, Delmar, because, what is your take on, or can you speak to we got different levels of small businesses, and people don't incorporate HR because they feel like their business is too small and they cannot afford. But it is very imperative that there is some form of HR practices within an organization. Can you speak to that as it pertains to like affordability? What should small businesses be thinking about? Like, say if someone, I don't know, they got 3 team members.
Mhm.
You got people that can be, sue happy or litigious individuals,
Yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
So there needs to be some protection in place. Speak
yes,
to that, to affordability.
most definitely. So I love the number 3. So let's talk about 3. So if you have 3 team members, a lot of times in small businesses, they're going to be probably contractors.
Yeah.
All right. That's a whole nother different conversation. We can go a whole nother hour on that alone. But there's typically, so let's say these 3 people are employees. So we can really have a conversation here. Those 3 people are W-2 employees, and they can be part-time. That's fine. All of them don't have to be full-time. But that small team still need guidelines. There still need to be guidelines placed in your business which actually cultivates your culture. So if
Yes.
there's no guidelines, if there is no expectations being built in through policies and guidelines of how you would like to see that workspace, hybrid workspace, remote workspace, or on-site workspace actually
Mhm.
operate with the people element that you have in place. So it's important to have those initial HR best practices in place, especially if those 3 people are W-2 employees, because like you said, that's litigious, and then people can say, well, that's not in my job description, or it's like, oh, I didn't know. Do we have a policy that dictates if I can take time off? Or, if I get sick, what needs to happen? Do I have a holiday? All of those kind of things. And a lot of times people put the marketing, social media campaigns, email marketing, and, spreadsheets and all that kind of in place, which is obviously an important part of business, right?
Mhm.
But it's really not the heartbeat of your business. Your heartbeat are the people that you have on your team that can help you do all the other things, right?
Right.
And you may not have the team when you first start. We all know that. We used to start as solopreneurs. Everybody's been there.
Mhm.
Some people are still there and just figuring their way out, which is no problem at all. But having those guidelines and expectations in your small business, even when you only have 2 or 3 people on your team, helps to establish the culture in which you're going to filter everything through that you do in your business.
No, that's great that you look at that, because a lot of times we rush, as you talking about social media and all those things. A lot of times we get leads we can't manage.
Right.
They come
Right.
to you and you don't even know what to do with them, because as you mentioned, the system is not in place for you to get them into your sales funnel. That's a whole different conversation, a whole different show. But
Yes.
you're right. Once you get someone in place, you've got to have someone who can sell it, and then someone who can manage those sales. Because one thing I can tell you about working around salespeople all my career, salespeople don't care. Once I sold it, it's up to y'all to get it to execute, to get it done. And they turn around and look like, well, they know y'all. It's me and you. So we got to work this thing out. So that's an absolutely great point. Talk to us about DE&I as in respects to small Black businesses, and this is where I'm going. DE&I is beyond Black people, right? There's some other folks, other aspects. Do you have enough women on your staff? Do you have any? I'm not going to get into all the different. I'll let you guys do that. But are there any liabilities or any sort of exposure that we have as Black businesses, that we aren't hiring enough people who might be white,
Yeah.
who might be LGBTQ? It may be some other. Talk to us about that and how that may be exposing us a little bit as Black-owned businesses.
Sure, definitely. Great question. Great question. So in small businesses, DEI still counts. All right. And like you said, DEI is not just geared toward just Black people. It's geared toward minorities, other ethnicities. And then the other part of that is also you need to think about ageism. See, all that,
Yeah.
not just the color of somebody, it's not just the skill set, because skill
Right.
set is part of that too. But think of ageism, think of the other individuals, like I said, that may be among the LGBTQ community. Now, it doesn't mean, and this is just my own personal opinion, it doesn't mean that you have to conform your business to everything that's going on the external side of the world.
Got
Okay.
it. Mm-hmm.
But you do need to be able to look at not necessarily, what their sexual preference is and all those kind of things among heterosexual LGBTQ community. But that's why you need to look at all the things, not just the ethnicity, not just, if they're in a particular community or association, what's the skill set? Do they have the skill set to come in no matter what their preference?
Correct.
Correct. The skill set, you don't have the talent or the knowledge of what it is that I'm trying to feel, that I don't necessarily have to comply to what the world is saying as far as DEI is concerned. But look at the young lady that was speaking. I'm sorry,
Bridgett Robinson. Mm-hmm. No
Bridgett,
problem. She'll be back on in 2 minutes. Bridgett, get ready. We'll bring you back in shortly.
Bridgett that was on said so lovely. It's like you have to look at the holistic part of DEI. So that includes the skills, again, talent, knowledge, not just the ethnicity or the color of our skin, if you will, no matter what that you are. Ageism, making sure you're not breaking any employment laws. All those things play a part in the DEI, and I believe
let me ask you this, and I'm gonna throw both of y'all a little bit of curveball, and I should bring Bridgett on. Matter of fact, I'm bringing Bridgett on for this one because I want to see. I want to see her face, and for everybody, Bridgett's back in this conversation.
Awesome.
There is a revolution right now of Black women power, Black empowerment. A lot of sisters are working with sisters. Is there any sort of exposure for a Black woman-owned business that just hires Black women and don't hire anybody else to run their business? Bridgett, I'm gonna give you that first bite of that apple.
Yes. So we do have to be careful across the board, whether we're Black, white, or whatever. There's something in employment law that's BFOQ, or bona fide occupational qualification, meaning if you are only hiring a particular type of person or you're excluding a type of person, it needs to be for a reason. So for example, she talked about ageism. I believe when it comes to pilots, you can't be over a certain age or something like that.
Okay.
That's legal for you to have ageism when you're hiring pilots because it's a BFOQ. If you're working for a religious organization, let's say a Christian organization, and yet you're an atheist, it's a BFOQ of why they won't hire you. So we have to be careful when we are an organization that's saying we're only hiring this particular type of person. We've got to be able to not just establish our BFOQ, but we've got to be able to defend it. So let's say we had to go to court. If someone says, I applied for this job, I was fully qualified, but yet they didn't hire me and they told me it was because I'm a white woman and they're only hiring Black women. If we go to court, we have to be able to defend why that's a BFOQ. So I just would encourage us to work with legal counsel. Don't just do it on your own. Work with legal counsel to establish what that policy is.
Delmar?
And that is so good. I want to extend on that because it made me think. One of the sayings I tell my small business clients is like to think about this. And I'm glad you brought up BFOQ too. Think about the fact that in real estate is all about location, 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 right? We all know that. In HR and small business, it's about document, document, document. Because at some point you're going to have to prove something. And a lot of times in your head, see, Bridgett gonna bag me up. If things are in your head and you don't have it written down, then a lot of things can come back on you. And with that BFOQ, I'm so glad she brought that up, is very relevant because there are some areas like being a pilot or religions and stuff where that actually can be justified. But to just say, a blanket, we're just going to hire, all Black people or all Asian people or Indian people, or whatever. You have to be very careful with that. But then, like I said, always have documentation of what you're doing. And another part of that is that's why it's so important to have a strong mission and core values that you've established in your small business. So you know why you're operating the way you're operating. And what is going to be the driving force in how you build. Now, there's nothing wrong with being unapologetically of who you are. Nothing wrong if you're unapologetically, geared towards supporting the Black community, or if you're Asian and you're geared toward that. That's all well and good, but we don't want to impede on somebody having the boldness to be able to do that. But in the hiring practices, you do have to be very careful of that, but don't take it to the point where they say I can't hire all Black people, or I can't hire all Asian or all Indian people, so I need to look at the other people. You need to look at the whole of the thing. Then you look at the holistic of the thing. And if it just so happened to be 5 Black women in the business, well, let's see the paperwork that proves why they're in your business and what they're doing for your business. What is on paper? What do they have, as part of their skill set? What credentials are they coming to the table with to actually be able to have that argument with? So it's very important to have that. So I just want to kind of tag team with Bridgett on that.
Kela, I want you to come in, but I don't want y'all to miss this part of this conversation. This part of this conversation is really important. We have a lot of Black women-owned businesses that are in our community, and we don't want you guys to be left out there exposed, because rest assured our adversaries are paying attention, and they're the ones writing the law. So you better make sure you get your stuff tight. Kela?
Yes. Okay. So ladies, I would love for you both to speak to, okay, so as it pertains to National Black Business Month and frivolous lawsuits, can you share with us what's going on with with Fearless Fund?
Go ahead.
I don't have any, direct specifics on that, but I listened to the executive director on Good Morning with Gail. I don't even know the name of that, but Good Morning with Gail. I saw the video. She came with not only poise and sophistication, but she came with receipts about how the Fearless Fund has helped small Black business owners with an average of $10,000 to $20,000 per grant. Obviously, there's been some higher and lower, right? So we know that. But on average, $10,000 to $20,000, which can be very significant in a startup or small business for an influx of cash flow to bring on a person that can help them bring on more money, okay? Or, going into their marketing or into their being able to expose their business. So I and I'm applying for some of those Fearless, and I'm gonna keep doing it because I want them to, I'm gonna keep doing it to me. You just have to go try. But that was such an impactful interview, and I don't know the young lady's name right now, but that was such an impactful interview that she did. Which is yes.
And for folks who may not know what the Fearless Fund conversation we're having right now, there is and I can think of the man's name. It is a white wealthy man who is now suing the Fearless Fund, which is a fund which is in place to serve and assist Black women-owned businesses, and now he's suing them to keep them from having the ability to do this. And it's just amazing, the audacity when you look at where we are in funding, how hard it is for us to get funding from banks, how hard it is for us to get contract opportunities, which provides us funding. We're still in the state of Georgia at under 2% of all contracting from the state, and the state is over 33% African American. So every step we take forward, we applauded Governor Kemp for signing a bill. We talked about it in our first Friday a couple weeks ago. He signed a bill into law supposed to help minorities get more contracting, but there's no funding there.
Yeah.
So it's just the games that are played that every time we take these steps, and it's not like it's big giant steps. They look at 1% and 2% as being, oh my God, they're taking from us. You got the other 60% over here, 60, 70% over here, and you mad about 2%. And so I challenge everybody to kind of look up the Fearless Fund and learn a little bit more about that challenge, which is going on, because it's coming. Go ahead, Delma.
Yeah, can I say something just real quick before I forget? That's why the Rice Center the Russell Center is so important. I got a chance to meet. I always want to say doctor because she earned it. Okay, the doctor. Okay, got a chance to meet her last month and was just so intrigued and so fascinated with what the Rice Center. Well, I'm a newbie here in the Atlanta area, so let me preface that by why I didn't know about the Rice Center. Okay, I'm a newbie.
Who did you say you met with?
Didn't I meet with you, Kela?
Okay, you went out when you said it.
What's so funny? I met Delmar. She walked up to me at first Friday, and her, I always tell sisters, y'all switch it up on me. Don't come up and get mad at me because you took your profile picture looking like this, and in this one you got your braids, and in this one don't get mad at me because I don't recognize you as soon as I see you. You look different than what I saw you on that screen. Stop it.
Oh, that is too funny. Well, we are multidimensional people.
You better believe it. I love every minute of it.
I think that's why the Russell Center is so important for the very thing that we're talking about now. And something else that keep rolling around in my head before I really forget it. We have got to learn, and I think we are learning. Okay, so let me preface that. We have got to learn to band stronger together.
Absolutely.
In
Unapologetically. Unapologetically. Yes.
community. Unapologetic. And of course, there's different pockets that are doing that, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when we learn something, share it. Don't hoard
Absolutely.
it. Like when we know something that could that could help other, small business enterprise entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs who's trying to figure it out along the way, don't hoard it, because that is impeding upon us. We are hurting ourselves. We have got to stop doing that. And with all the things that are happening now, all the crazy things that are happening, the power that we have collectively is insane.
No, we absolutely do. Bridgett, I want you to talk a little bit about Black in HR and the community. I want to get some of these comments in. That's why I'm just my brain is working slow today. But I want to get some of these comments in.
I wanted to quickly add something to that conversation. One thing as Black people and Black businesses that I think we don't talk about enough, and I know Delmar talked earlier about having people in place that can help you make money and all of that, but we invest in the wrong areas at the wrong time. We're always worried about branding. What is it going to look like? Are people going to like our product? We have got to invest in legal counsel, because the thing that's going on with the Fearless Fund, remember I said earlier, having all things in place so that you can defend it. Always, and this is just the HR side of me, always think that you're going to have to defend your stance at some point before a court of law. So in the beginning, get it together. Get you legal counsel, invest in legal counsel to make sure you have all of your documentation in place, your values, your principles, how your business is set. Find the loopholes that they use to sue you. Go ahead and find them in the beginning and make your plan of how you're going to loop the loophole. But we don't do that. We just worry about what our colors of our business is going to be. So we've got to start investing in the right areas.
Bridgett, that was so shady. I joke about it because I'm in the business of doing that, right? You are. For full disclosure, my company did some shots. Black in HR, we did some marketing and promotion for them, but they're an absolutely fabulously ran community. The work that they are doing, but you're exactly right. There are people that will come to me. Some of the raggediest looking websites you have out there are multi-million-dollar companies.
Yes,
they are.
So some of the people who have come to me about us doing some marketing, they're just like, they're doing marketing because somebody in their space said, we got to get this website up to par. And I'm looking like, you own this building. You worried about, you do need to update this website from 10 years ago. But
it's not the visuals. People buy into the person.
They buy the person.
People buy into the person, especially if you have been out there exposing yourself enough, and then, increase your exposure in different platforms, networking, online and offline, and all those kind of things. But people are really buying into the individual who have expressed clearly that they have the solution that they're looking for to resolve their pain points.
Yeah, but we got to be ready.
We got a few comments that I want to pull up.
Ready, so
absolutely. I want to get a few comments in before we wrap up the show. We've got D. Nicole and company, her name of her business, and she has a marketing and PR. Thank you. Welcome to the community. She actually had a good question down below. It was this one. This is a perfect information. Cash flow is a problem for most small businesses. Address the credit score, building business credit, please, and thank you. We will talk about that. It's really important that you get there, because when it's all said and done, we say all the time, if your paperwork isn't in line, all the fussing and whining and everything that we're doing, and I joke by saying whining, but we do a lot of fussing about, we didn't get an opportunity for this contract, this, that, and the third. Well, the first thing they're going to ask you, they want to have you, they want to know your paperwork. Are you certified? Are you MBE certified? Are all the things that are barriers that are put in place. And here's what we know. A lot of them non-allies don't have to go through all that to get the contract. They never even have to have that conversation. But instead of harping on that fact, those challenges are coming, and they're going to be like, you're not on the Better Business Bureau. Come see us next year. Billy
but
back
over
there.
Thinking about, are you making money, and are you making it consistently?
Yes.
Because,
are you paying your taxes?
If all you got is a pretty website and no money, nobody's lending you any money. So I encourage you, if that's you and you're in that space, I can give you some recommendations for some business coaches that can get you together. And
here's the thing about, and make sure that we know, with Black in HR, you guys are not just HR professionals. You are a community of businesses
Yes.
as well that can provide ancillary services as well, correct?
Absolutely. We provide services for individual HR professionals and also B2B. So if you're a company out there, like Delmar said, that has 2 to 3, people, or if you have thousands of people and you're needing specific projects done for HR, or you're needing fractional HR leadership, come to Black in HR. We have people from all different diverse backgrounds, executive level HR leaders that could really come in and help turn your business around.
So y'all try to wordsmith that stuff. So fractional HR leaders means that you just want to hire us to do a job here and there. We'll come in there and do that.
Listen, I'm a project person. I'm not trying to, that's not my baby. I'm just gonna come in and fix it, and then I'm gonna go.
You come in and change that diaper and I'm out of here.
who do work as fractional HR directors as well as consultants. I'm both. It's like, because some people, and I use the word fractional because if you want me long term, then that means you have access to me at a different level than someone who I'm just consulting.
It's perfect. This comment goes right in line with what you just said. This is so important because when COVID hit, everybody wanted their contractors to become employees, and those that had employees without a plan suffered and missed opportunities. Speaking from experience. We got some of the best audiences in the world. They're in these commenting streets. As we mentioned, drop your businesses. If you're listening, drop your businesses, your social media in the comments so we can make sure we'll follow up. There's a lot of people that watch our show whenever they get good and ready, and we're good with that. All right, so before we get out of here, I'm gonna Bridgett, I want to come to you and just kind of give us kind of your wrap up on this DE&I deal and kind of your thoughts on it and what do we need to be doing, because they're not playing. These folks are not, we can say all we want about DeSantis. He got the power and he firing. He down there suspending, I think he was a district attorney or somebody. He suspended an elected official that won 60% of the vote and said, "Nah, we don't like you. We're going to suspend you and we're going to take the job." These politicians are not playing. But help us wrap this conversation up, Bridgett.
Listen, and that happened, I believe, while this lady was on maternity leave. Oh my goodness. So what the theme of my talk is know your stuff. If you're an employee, if you're a business owner, know what's legally right and what's legally available to you. Get your head out of the weeds and the thick of what's going on day to day. The number one thing that's killing us as a diverse population is overall business acumen. We only know our job and our role, and that's it. We don't know what finance is doing. Half of us don't know what P&L is. We don't know, what the marketing aspects are. We've got to get out of tunnel vision and look at the whole business and understand where we fit, what's legally required, what's not, figure out those loopholes. And again, if you're your own business, your people are your biggest asset, and you really need to focus on being right for them.
That's good. That's good. Okay, Delmar.
Yeah, most definitely. I concur with what Bridgett said. It's like you have to prepare for this road. You have to prepare, especially if you want longevity. And I want, if I'm able to do this, I want to be able to offer your audience a free resource, because if you're starting out as an entrepreneur and you're navigating these small business streets and you don't even know where to start as far as actually put this into your culture or create a culture or actually get into the mindset of entrepreneurship and start thinking about the things that said, I have a free resource. I mean, no gimmicks attached to it. It's just a free resource. I wrote a book called HR is Sexy a few years ago. And it was hidden, and I released it then, and then the world blew up. But it's like, what, let me offer
So we need to re-release it. And the marketer in me is telling me, all right, it's time to re-release it. Right.
Re-release it, but I want to give your audience a free, just a couple of free chapters just to get you in the mindset as a startup of why it's important for you at every phase of your business. And you just simply go to www.hrsexybook.com. www.hrsexybook.com. Get your free downloads and just begin to get your mindset around that. And yeah, so I'm re-releasing. I'm just reintroducing it because a lot of startups really don't know where to start.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Business don't know where to start or why it's important for their business, which is one of the reasons why I wrote the book.
Yeah. Well, we really do appreciate you all making your time today and coming to the aid of our community because we don't know how to do this stuff. As you mentioned, there's stuff that we know how to do. There ain't too much about marketing, communication. You can't tell me, but But I have my accountant. I got tax stuff on my desk right now because we got stuff to start tightening up. You know, it's
Yeah.
the world. It's the world that we live in, and we need to make sure we're leveraging each other. And we appreciate you guys offering up the yourselves to each other. And I didn't get you didn't get a chance to close out, Bridgett, about Black and HR. Anything going on in Atlanta? What's going on? Let's wrap that up before we got another minute.
Awesome. For the Black in HR, regardless if you an HR professional, business owner or not, please join us over at theblackandhr.com. If you're an HR professional, we do have a phenomenal Facebook group. It
Absolutely
is
phenomenal.
open to all people. It's, it's a safe space. Don't come in there with craziness because we match. But we
let me just tell you how so Black in HR is, Prathan, who he's a huge role. I think he moves so fast, right?
Yeah,
He done
he's
went from
all
Google
over
to
the place.
Netflix to whoever, right? These are not just small, but these are people that are working for major corporations that are giving people insight. I watch them post questions all the time that says, "Hey, I'm trying to go for this particular role, and or I had this situation with this employee, or this is the type of conversations that I've seen." And you guys have built that community in 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, since I joined a few years back, it has been amazing to see how many people are not just members, but are active. They're in there
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah.
We have coaching available. We have Ask HR where you can set up individual meeting to get help. We have master classes. We've got SHRM certification prep courses. Plug. So, again, we have
Good.
this business consulting. It's so much stuff that is available within our organization. So if you're not a part, we've got the elite membership. Like, what you doing? Go over to the Black HR and join us.
Get engaged. Well, we'll get you guys, if you can, drop your contact information in the comments when you get a chance to come off the show, because people gonna want to reach out to you all. I did drop the website for you, Del Marva. Hopefully the link works. If not, fix it for me to make sure that they get that free resource.
Before I get from here, it's like, oh, this is free. So let me make sure this link is working.
Yeah, exactly. If not, then we can go there. But thank you so much for your time. All right,
Thank
Kela, let's go ahead and close this rascal out. Great show today. I'm sure you got plenty to do over there as I see people are running around there. Russell Center behind you. But great show. Amazing show today.
Amazing. Before we go, I do want to drop a little plug. I am actually releasing my book this September, My Dream Business, My Worst Nightmare, which talks about modern day oppression and Black entrepreneurship. And then I'm launching my new book, From the Cotton Fields to the Corporations. Yes, all happening.
That's one thing I love about even you over there. Call yourself in a 9-to-5er now. The Russell Center always encourages y'all to keep that entrepreneurial spirit going. Because Sister Chris Hale, who had a role there with the Russell Center for years, who was Jay's assistant, and she's got her puzzle company, and I bought a couple of puzzles for my kids. She's in Columbia right now, and so
doing it big.
Doing it big, doing the support. So make sure you guys support each other. Make sure you guys love on each other. Make sure you stay engaged and do business with each other, because we ain't got nobody but us. Let's get it done.
That's right.
All right.